Hello, and welcome to iPulse. My name is Veronica Chihowska.
And I am Olivia Doles.
This past Saturday at 9:23 p.m., President Trump tweeted, quote, "Something very big has just happened," end quote. It was confirmed on Sunday morning by the president that the leader of the Islamic State, Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi, was killed in a raid by U.S. forces. Baghdadi was killed after he was chased to the end of a tunnel and detonated a suicide vest that he was wearing. The president said in the press conference, quote, "Last night, the United States brought the world's #1 terrorist leader to justice. Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi is dead," end quote.
Additionally, on Monday, Syrian forces informed the public that they would be increasing the security at all prisons and detention facilities containing Islamic State militants and supporters. This is following the death of Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi. The Kurdish Internal Security said, quote, "After Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi's death, we are on the high alert for possible riots and attacks," end quote.
Next, with national news, residents of Brentwood and Westside Hillside communities in California were pushed to evacuate their homes on Monday morning. The evacuation order started a little before 2 a.m. The fire has spread to a devastating 400 acres of destruction. Furthermore, along with the Californian freeway nearby, the Getty Center, residents are having trouble accepting the devastating news. Mayor Eric Garcetti said, quote, "Get out when we say get out," end quote.
This past Sunday, South Africa played Wales in the rugby semifinals on October 27th to see which country will reach the Rugby World Cup. Sports are a big deal throughout the world. South Africa played Wales, who have been in the semifinals 3 times. The game was very intense. The game was tied up at 16 due to Lee Halfpenny's point. However, the tables turned when Handré Pollard was able to score a victory for South Africa. The South African Springboks beat Wales with a score of 19-16. South Africa will play the England Free Jacks this upcoming Saturday.
Continuing with our series with the staff of Lynn, here is Maria Acosta reporting on Professor Mark Lucio with Teachers Philosophy and World Religions.
It's amazing. I mean, there's just so much I love about being a professor, but I think it's that I have flexibility in what I do. It's not like just a regular job where you have to kind of like do X, Y, Z. Of course, there are things I have to tend to here in my role, but there's a lot of flexibility in terms of my area of research and what I teach and how I teach it. I also love the flexibility in my schedule. Summers, I usually am traveling and doing research. During the year, besides teaching in the classroom, I'm often giving conferences or attending seminars and doing special things outside of the classroom as well. Yeah, you can close that.
Can you talk about your sabbatical that you took?
Yes. So, my sabbatical was here. It's just you have to take a look at the globe because I started out in Florida, down here, but I flew to the Middle East here and spent 2 months. And then I spent time in Asia, came back and spent time in Eastern Europe and Russia, and then I ended up in India and was there for a long period of time. I was studying all of the religions of the world. So I teach world religion, and as you can see around my office, I have a lot of artifacts. This is one of my favorite ones. This is an Asian depiction of Mother Mary and Jesus. They look very Japanese in a kimono. So those are the kinds of things I get to do. When I was on my sabbatical, I really learned a lot. I learned that really basically all of humanity is asking the same kinds of questions, maybe answering them slightly differently, but at the core of who we really are seeking the same thing, meaning in life, purpose, where we came from, where we're going, what the significance of our lives are. So I absolutely loved it.
And what it's like being a deacon in campus?
Well, the interesting thing is I was first in ministry as a cleric, as clergy, a Lutheran pastor, a priest, for 30 years prior to becoming a professor. So I'll show you another little picture of me. That's me baptizing a child, if you can see. That's when I was a Lutheran priest. And then I became a Catholic deacon recently, and now I help in campus ministry here with Father Marty. Absolutely love it because I get to touch people's hearts, you know? Yeah.
And anything else you want to add for students to know about you?
Sure. I was born in Japan. So hold on one sec. I have one more thing to show you. This, can you see that? Mm-hmm. Okay, that's me when I was a baby in Kyoto, Japan. So I'm in a little kimono, my parents, my siblings. So I grew up in Asia, in Tokyo, and my first language actually was Japanese. So I'm bicultural and bilingual. So that's partly why I love being here at Lynn. It's so international. People from all over the world, and it keeps me, I don't know, it keeps me globally focused. If it wasn't for that, I don't know, I didn't think I was probably going to stay here as long as I did. Now I wouldn't dream of being anywhere else. I love it.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. All right.
Stay tuned for more news from iPulse coming up.
Hello, I'm Sarah McManus.
And I'm Claire McCabe.
Lynn University is ranked #1 in the category of most international students for regional universities in the South. That's an increase of 35 spots from last year in the current edition of U.S. News. Dr. Gareth Fowles, the Vice President for Enrollment Management at Lynn, says, quote, "We continue to elevate the value of a Lynn education, which is demonstrated by a rise in nationally recognized ranking," end quote. The rankings are consistent with Lynn's growing student population, a record-breaking 1,224 new undergraduate and graduate students enrolled in August.
Marla Dudak, a Boca Raton surgeon, is on the search to end breast cancer. She decided to do some genetic testing, and she was bewildered by the results. Unlike conventional thinking that there are a limited number of breast cancers, she has found many varieties. Dudak says, quote, "A lot of these genetic mutations are brand new and we don't know enough about them. So it's about keeping my patients updated and letting them know that just because you have a mutation doesn't mean you're going to get cancer," end quote. Dudak hopes to advance her studies every day as a surgeon and save as many lives as she can in the Boca Raton area. A recent Supreme Court ruling will provide for more accessible and affordable testing.
Wildfires have struck Northern California, burning wine country and the wealthy side of Los Angeles. In Sonoma County, vineyards, buildings, and homes were up in flames. The fire was estimated it exploded 103 square miles and hit wineries north of San Francisco. The wildfire forced tens of thousands to flee their homes. Pacific Gas and Electric is California's biggest utility supplier. It cut off its power to residents to prevent equipment from sparking more fires, leaving a blackout.
In the last 3 months, Kim Kardashian West has been working hard to keep her word on fighting prison reform. Kardashian West met up with President Trump at the White House in May 2018 to talk about the case of a woman named Alice Marie Johnson. Johnson was serving a life sentence for a one-time, nonviolent drug offense. After her successful meeting with Trump, Johnson was soon released from prison after serving 21 years. Kardashian West is following in the steps of her late father, Robert Kardashian, by going to law school. In an interview with Vogue, Kardashian West says, quote, "I just felt like I wanted to be able to fight for people who have paid their dues to society. I just felt like the system could be so different and I wanted to fight to fix it. And if I knew more, I could do more," end quote.
And now a profile of another Lynn staff member. Coach Chris Wood, the head coach of the men's cross country and track team, talk about his position and his time at Lynn. Here's Brian Ryder.
I've been coaching for 17 years. This is year 17. I started off as a strength conditioning coach, not like a track or cross country coach. I was a strength coach for track at Temple University way back in like the early 2000s. That was like my first like full-time coaching. But from there, it just kind of got pulled more and more into the sport. Like as time went on, I was kind of an accessory to it in the weight room to start. we didn't have a sprints coach, so I went and ended up working with the sprinters there, and then went more into like the track side and got to do kind of what I wanted, which is like field events and javelin, and then decathlon, which is how I got into training people for like the 1500, and then that grew to like women's cross country, and I did a couple years up in New England with men's cross country at Husson up in Bangor, Maine, and up there was really when I kind of like was exclusively distance running. So basically, like this is my 8th year of like just distance coaching, and that's all that I do. So it's kind of gone from like speed and power, like all the way to like maybe the anti-speed and power, if you think about it that way. So yeah, it's kind of been a wild ride. I've coached at, this is 7 schools. I've lived in like 9 different states during my coaching career, so it's taken me around quite a bit.
Yeah, so obviously, like you just said, you know, you've been around. Like, how would you compare your experiences you've had here so far at Lynn to, you know, previous schools that you've coached at and previous states you've lived in?
So the cool thing about Lynn and what drew me to Lynn was my previous situation. I was at Division II school. We were shifting down to Division III, just due to some like budget, you know, things and stuff like that. We're kind of making a jump down, and I didn't want to take a step backwards. This is definitely like a destination spot. People are drawn to the beach in South Florida and all that. And just doing more research about Lynn, it's a very good institution, kind of middle of the road academics, easy to come to, like fun to hang out. But the athletic program has like tremendous resources, and that was something that really drew me, because I didn't want to come and try to start up a program and just be strapped all the time and like trying to raise a bunch of money and like trying to like just piece things together. Lynn is a place that has a plan, and almost always has a plan for everything, and it's a long range plan. And when I agreed to take this job, they kind of showed me what it was going to be for the next like 5 or 6 years. And I've never been a part of a school where they've actually had a projection for a program in terms of where we're going to be when we start and where you're going to be like 6 years from now. So that was a big thing that drew me here, was that they had a plan for what they wanted to see happen with this program.
And with your kind of like very broad like range of skills in terms of, you know, the experience you've had as a coach, how do you apply all those different skills and try to make your athletes like the best they can be, and really coach this program, obviously, since we're so new, to, you know, hopefully eventually become championship contenders?
The cool thing about like having been in strength conditioning basically for like almost the first 10 years of my career is, unlike a lot of distance coaches, like I kind of heard the cliche, like, if only tool you have is a hammer, you're only looking for nails, right? You're just like, oh, everything's a nail, right? We're gonna just keep doing this. I think like you guys have kind of seen, not as much as the ladies, but you guys have seen it, that we train in a lot of different ways, and a lot of different ways compared to most distance programs. Like, we're not afraid to take running out and replace it with something else, whereas, you know, a traditional like distance powerhouse would freak out if, oh, we're not going to get our 80 miles in this week, like we're not feeling good, we're not doing the right stuff. But I mean, you've seen it firsthand, and you know, the ladies have felt it and seen it firsthand. Like, we've had successful athletes on as little as like 17 miles a week, you know, so you don't have to pile that stuff on. And the stuff that gets ignored from a distance running standpoint is like, what are you doing to stay durable? Where is your strength at? You know, and where's the flexibility at? I definitely feel like we try to incorporate whoever our athletic trainer is like into our routine way more so than other programs do. They kind of run away from them because they're afraid the kids are going to get pulled out of practice. So they kind of, no, don't go see the athletic trainer. You know, we're trying to like be very holistic, and I think that's just kind of because I haven't been the traditional, you know, distance running, distance coach. Like, I ran cross country, like, because I didn't, right? I was a javelin thrower and trained completely different for that, you know? So I think I've just seen like all the different ways to do it, because I've worked with a bunch of different sports and only worked on like the speed and power side, and like I said, progressed through. So we do a lot more fast stuff, a lot more quality than most programs do. A lot of teams just jogging around all the time. You know?
Stay tuned for more iPulse after this.
Hello, I'm Xavier Williams.
And I'm Evelyn Sosa.
Slowly but surely, North Korea is losing their patience with the United States over hostile policies and unilateral disarmament demands. Despite how close the two leaders are, it won't be enough to prevent a nuclear diplomacy from derailing. According to senior North Korean official Kim Yong-chol, there hasn't been any progress made between the two countries. Kim Jong-un has given an end-of-the-year deadline to propose mutually acceptable terms for a deal salvaging nuclear negotiations. Kim Jong-il said himself and the Trump administration would seriously be mistaken if they ignore it.
It turns out the chaos at town center at Boca Raton Mall was caused by 2 pop balloons, police said. After reviewing the store's videos, the police now believe 2 pop balloons sparked panic last Sunday. Everything seems to have been a shooting since the Boca Raton Fire Rescue had reported that a person was injured. After several investigations, they determined that the victim actually hit his head on the push bar of a door while trying to run out of the mall. Police said, quote, there's research revealed that pop balloons have sparked active shooter scares in other parts of the country and say many sounds can be mistaken for a gunfire or explosions.
Up next, we have an interview with Stacey Alesi, who is a librarian at Lynn University.
Hi Stacey, so why did you want to be a librarian?
Mostly because I love books. I've been a reader my whole life, and that was what drew me to the library as a child and continued through adulthood.
All right, nice. So why did you choose to work at Lynn Library? Because you recently only been here for a couple of months, right?
I started here in January of this year. It was a big change. I came from the Palm Beach County Library where I worked for 18 years, which is a public library, but I love working with students, and that's been really a great experience for me here. I'm using a lot of the skills that I learned in library school that I didn't get to use at my other job. So I like helping kids do their research and teaching them how to do APA, and it's very rewarding.
Okay. And then lastly, do you encourage students to check out physical books often or no?
It depends. I mean, we have a lot of kids who do like to read and just want a break from school. So yeah, we have tons of books, and sometimes books are good for research as well, but honestly most stuff that students need for homework and for papers is going to be online. We have great databases, that we have ebooks. You guys have iBooks in your Canvas, which is amazing and so much better than textbooks everywhere. Yeah. And we also have the great textbook collection if you need those, and we check those out for 3 hours so you don't have to buy your textbooks, and you can scan what you need, and it's a really wonderful service to offer students.
All right, thank you for talking with me today.
One more thing.
Oh yeah, go for it.
We have a book club I started here last
really?
month.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a foodie book club.
Okay.
So all the books have something to do with food, and this month we're meeting actually October 30th at noon, and the book is called Kitchens of the Great Midwest. It's a novel about a woman who grows up and becomes this like world-renowned chef.
Oh,
and
yeah,
we'll be serving wings.
Oh really? Then food
Yeah,
too.
so all the food is going to be related to the book somehow.
Okay.
So last month we did Anthony Bourdain's Kitchen Confidential, and we served Shake Shack. And,
nice.
And in November, I'm working with Chef Schmantowski, and he's going to be cooking in this kitchen here.
Oh really? That's really cool.
Yeah, so
So when is that?
Which one?
The next meeting for your
The
book
next
club.
one is October 30th, which is
October
Wednesday.
30th. Okay.
You don't have to have read the book to come, so just come.
All right, that's great. Thank you so much for taking time to talk to me today.
Thank you.
And now we have an interview with Dr. Adelson, who is teaching Self Society courses at Lynn University.
If not a teacher, who would you like to be?
I really like what I'm doing now.
So you wouldn't choose anything else?
I don't think so. I've had 2 careers before I became a teacher. I was a registered nurse for 15 years, and then I went back to school and got my master's in social work, and then I worked as a marriage and family therapist for 20 years. So teaching was kind of my 3rd career, so to speak. So I think I'm doing what I want to do. And
Nice.
I'm doing it.
And do you think the job that you have now is like kind of your hobby, or you have another hobbies?
I don't consider it a hobby.
No?
What I do now?
Yeah.
Teaching, I consider it a profession. I don't think of it as a hobby. I don't have a lot of hobbies.
Not at all?
No, I have a lot of interests, but I don't know if I would call them hobbies. I love to read. I like going to museums. I love going to the theater. I like to work out. I used to run half marathons till my knees gave out.
Nice. What about theater? What is your favorite play? Do you have any favorite plays in theater?
Well, I just saw Moulin Rouge, which I liked a lot. Hamilton I loved. Dear Evan, those are the ones. And in a couple of weeks I'm going to see To Kill a Mockingbird. So I like all theater. I like dramas. I like musical theater. So I like all theater.
All right. Thank you so much for the interview.
You're welcome.
Thank you, and see you next week. For more news, pick up a copy of the iPulse.